This week on Talking Real, we talk about the ongoing litigation risks that you may be facing during the pandemic and some things you can do to help mitigate those risks. But first, be sure to show appreciation to the realtor leaders in your life.
Plus, we'll also check in to see what's in and what's out in the real estate industry.
Welcome back to Talking Real, brought to you by the Oklahoma Association of Realtors. This is episode 137 of Talking Real in the Talking Real remote studios. Nabil's at home, I'm at home. We're working remotely, but we're recording for you today to bring you a new episode of Talking Real. Nabil, how are you today?
I'm doing great. It is... Actually, I haven't been outside yet, so I don't know what it's like outside. But I'm looking forward to getting out there.
I'm a little sleepy. Woke up this morning, didn't want to get out of bed, but I've got my second cup of coffee that we're going to enjoy here on the episode.
Nice.
So that we can wake up and bring some fantastic, interesting information. And if you looked at the title, we're talking about litigation risks today. So what's more exciting than that?
I'm surprised you even need coffee.
Talking about litigation risks is its own sort of stimulant, I suppose. It's a fair point. We do have a couple things we want to bring up before then, though. First of all, don't forget that we still have registration live for an impending OAR annual conference called Breakthrough that you can register for at oarconference.com.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, you definitely want to do that. It's going to be a fantastic, engaging virtual conference brought to you to the comfort of your house or couch.
Yes, indeed.
Or coffee shop.
Yes, indeed.
Wherever you want.
Wherever you want to be. We've got a number of great speakers that are lined up. We've mentioned some of them in the past. A couple new ones that we haven't mentioned yet. Nate Johnson is going to be there, who is, I don't know, he's just an interesting, he's got such a great upbeat personality. Mm-hmm. Love listening to that guy talk. Mm-hmm. Of course, Paul Dismang's going to be here speaking, and everybody loves a Paul Dismang class and discussion, so that's going to be fantastic. And Kyle Draper, he's going to be in as well, and they're just talking about a variety of things from marketing to just all kinds of stuff. So really look forward to that, and I hope that you will jump online right now and register at oarconference.com.
That's right.
What else we have going on, Nabil? You know, there is something coming up that we all need to mark down.
That's right.
On our calendars.
On our calendars.
Look, there's a lot of people out there that make the wheels spin in the realtor world. And sometimes we need to have a reminder to appreciate those people. So we want to have you mark down on your calendars September 29th, because that is the Dale Stenton AE and President Appreciation Day that is coming up.
That's right. So this is a great day to appreciate, just like Jeff said, the people that make the wheels spin. Appreciate your AE and your president on Tuesday, September 29th. It's traditionally held on September 28th, but they're moving it to September 29th this year.
Oh, well, there you go. There you go. You know, like it's a little bit different this year. They kind of lumped in the presidents as well. Usually it's just been the AE Appreciation Day, but wanted to bring in the presidents as well. You know, this has been such a weird year. Associations have had to pivot on a lot of things from, just like we've had to cancel all of our in-person classes and conferences to move things online. And a lot of this stuff has had to happen quickly without having the background and the knowledge and the experience moving things online, right? This is new for all of us. Mm-hmm. And that has put a lot of pressure on the people at the top, because that's right. Where does the buck stop? It stops at the top with your AEs, with your presidents. And so this is a really good opportunity to just send them a little note of appreciation. Things may not have been perfect, but everybody's out there trying really hard to make them as perfect as they can. So don't forget, on September 29th, send them a text, give them a phone call, send them an email, something to reach out to your presidents and your AEs and let them know how appreciated they are, because they've been working real hard this year in a very strange year.
Yeah, because I mean, it was like you were saying, buck stops there. There was a lot of decisions that needed to be made with a lot of uncertainty, right? You didn't know what way things were going to fall, but those things had to be done. So like, just reacting that quickly and getting things done. And yeah, on top of whatever else you're already thinking about and worried about with uncertainty is, so just send him a message, say thanks, appreciate him, let him know that you see what they do, right? That's the important thing.
Absolutely. So again, it's a difficult year, but take the opportunity to appreciate the services and the support that the association leaders are providing. And just take that one special day to send a little special thank you to your AE and to your president.
Yeah. Ideally, it'd be every day, right?
I mean, every day we should be appreciating everybody that is out there working hard every day. And that's sometimes hard. So we're going to take a special day to send a little thank you and appreciation to at least a couple special people in your lives, your AE and your president, because we know they are appreciated. And, ahead of time right now, just take the moment to definitely send some appreciation to our AE, our CEO, Jessica Hickok, who has really, done a lot to make sure that we are still offering all the services that we can, just making the budgets work, making the planning work, and really leading from the front to make sure that we get all that done, as well as our state president, Amy Blado, who has just same thing. There's a lot of times where they may feel like, oh man, my presidential year was a bust with COVID. Like everything's been messed up. Everything's been ruined.
Yeah.
But Amy has really embraced it as this is an opportunity to still do good things, to still display leadership in this difficult time. And so really just want to send an appreciation to both of them, because they make our lives as staff members a whole lot easier because of the support that they offer and the leadership that they offer. So shout out to those two a little bit early. 100%.
Couldn't have put it better myself.
Well, there you go.
And so I'm not going to try.
Well, Nabil, before we get into the exciting world of the litigation risks,
yes, exciting,
strange thing, exciting world. Let's talk a little bit about what's in and what's out in real estate today, because man, things have really changed in some interesting ways. Sometimes there's decades where nothing happens, and then sometimes there's years where decades happen. Some quote like that. I don't know the history of it. I should have looked that up
first. Did you just make that up?
No, there's really some quote out there, something along that lines, but where you do have a short period of time where it feels like years of progress or change or something has happened. And we're certainly in one of those years. And no doubt it's affecting the real estate industry. And so there was just an interesting it's almost like a chart that Realtor Magazine has put out here about what's in and what's out. And we wanted to bring you a couple of those and point it in your direction so you can pick up your Realtor Magazine either digitally or if you have it mailed to you in person like I get, take a look at it, because it's really kind of interesting to get this picture of how much things have changed in the last 8 months. Maybe less.
Right.
It's pretty dramatic. So, Nabil, what do you think? What's the first little piece of what's in and what's out that you wanted to bring up?
So I think this is something that was already trending, but because of current circumstances, it is just heightened. And that is 3D tours and lots and lots and lots and lots of photos are in. Not having enough photos, however, is not. So
yeah,
that was something we had seen being emphasized even before the current year that we're in.
And I think that part of that has been interesting because we've also seen MLSs have to adapt by offering more photos, for example, where maybe they capped your photos and now they've given you the opportunity to have 10 more photos. I've seen some stories of those kinds of things, offering just some new information that you can put into the MLS so that people have a better picture of what that property looks like. And certainly, like you said, the virtual tours, a lot of that going. I've heard of, plenty of stories of people just really embracing that technology to improve the ability to see a house remotely, those kinds of things. So lots of photos, good Hey, we've been talking about, if you're taking photos of a house, get a professional photographer or somebody who knows what they're doing to come take the photos. We've been talking about that from like day one of Talking Real. So we've been warning you, get that.
We've been warning you.
And now you need it for sure. So the next thing that I thought is worth mentioning is that we now have super serious buyers ready to pull the trigger. That's what's in right now. There is low inventory. Houses are moving fast. It is a race to get that offer in and no delay. And what's out is buyers who want to see dozens of homes. I think we talked about this sometime back about how many houses on average buyers are looking at. And it's like 33%, 40% less homes that they're looking at before they decide to put an offer on one. And I think we're seeing that every day in the market where people are saying, I like this house, let's go, move. I don't want to see any more because this house isn't going to be here in a week. Things are moving so fast and inventory is so low. So that's what's in. Are those buyers ready to move for sure? Right.
The next thing that I thought was interesting in the what's in and what's out is in-person visits and open houses are kind of on their way out. There's, we've talked about video and virtual showings, and I just mentioned lots and lots of pictures and 3D tours. And that is weaning people away from in-person visits and really researching their house that they wanted online even before they go and look at it. And maybe sometimes they don't even go look at it. And kind of going hand in hand with that, open houses are on their way out, whereas appointment only showings are on their way in. So and I think that goes with what you were saying with the super serious buyers, right? If they research the heck out of this house and then they're like, okay, we're going to go see this at this day, at this time. And they're essentially going in ready to make that offer. Right, it's kind of like their final walkthrough is essentially what an appointment becomes sometimes.
Right. And, it's interesting. I've seen open houses picking back up. I actually have some friends who just this weekend went to an open house and put an offer on the house.
Nice.
Which is new. I hadn't heard of open houses really picking back up, but I think it's starting to happen. I've actually got a house for sale in the neighborhood that this last weekend they had an open house on Sunday as well. So I'm starting to see them pick back up and open back up, which is kind of interesting. Hopefully people are also using some of the precautions we talked about to make sure that, you're keeping those situations as safe as possible, because this does play into the litigation risk that we're going to talk about here in a minute.
Right.
So, certainly be cautious, but people have been a little nervous about things. And so, especially regionally, if you're in a place that has, higher levels of COVID outbreak, those kinds of things, there's probably a lot more concern about having open houses, but for sure, more limited on those for sure. The next thing going along with that I heard a lot of people doing, and I think is still going on for sure, and is just more and more common. And it's kind of funny. I don't know why I think this is funny, but this applies both for showings and inspections. But having already opened cabinets, closets, doors, windows visible, those kinds of things, so people can just come in and see inside to see what's going on. The things are already accessible to home inspectors, and what's out is touching stuff. I
thought that was funny.
It is. By all means, right? This is something that certainly people can do to make sure that if that makes them feel more comfortable, so people aren't touching things in their house, I think that's perfectly fine. By all means, go ahead and do that. But it's interesting that we've seen that. That's something that I don't think has ever been done before until the last 8 months, that people would just go ahead and open everything. Typically, It's like, let's keep it closed. It looks nice. when people come in. But now it's like, nope, just open it all up so they can see in there. So kind of funny, but so no touching. That's the new thing that's coming in. So anyway, we just wanted to bring you a few of these what's in and what's out. They've got a list of probably, 25 different things that range from staging, showings, inspections, closing, and the move. So we've all seen a lot of these things, and this is just interesting to see and to think about how much has changed in the last 8 months with how business is being done. Really kind of brings to light where we're at right now, and just thought that was very interesting to bring up.
Yeah, no, it's funny, and I love the fact that it just said touching stuff.
What's out, touching stuff. So kind of interesting. So I wanted to talk a little bit. There were some statistics in this same Realtor magazine relating to litigation risks and how the pandemic plays into that. And, my little lawyer antenna started sticking up and got real excited. I was like, ooh, let's talk about this. This sounds like fun.
Some of these statistics were surprising.
It was surprising to me as well. I was surprised. And I think this is something that has been on the minds of realtors for quite some time, early in the pandemic in particular, maybe less so now that we're a little more aware of what's going on in the world. We're a little more prepared for what's going on. But I wanted to highlight this just because there is still a pandemic going on and there are still concerns. And so as some people's concern has started to wane a little bit, maybe they've got a little lax from the things that we were doing early on. Mm-hmm. This may be a good time to go back and look at some of those things that you were doing to offer that extra protection, the extra discussions that were being had, those kinds of things that we recommended real early on, that we can start doing and keep doing those as long as this is going on, just because it is a risk. And again, you can get sued, you may win, but nobody wants to get sued. So doing some protection, because it's important to know where things are right now.
Yeah. So it was just, getting comfortable with how things are, and you be like, if I don't do this, it'll be okay, because nothing's happened yet, kind of thing. So just keeping those things top of mind and taking those precautions, I think, is very important.
For sure. And look, I know some people are more skeptical about what's going on. And that's, you can have your opinions, but regardless of what your opinion is about what's going on, you need to know what buyers and sellers on the whole think about it and whether they're willing to sue you over it. Because if you are not exercising reasonable care, that is when you start having potential liability. So sometimes you got to put aside what you feel about something for the sake of risk management. That's what this is about.
Right.
So we're talking about a survey that was done in May of just over 1,000 buyers and sellers to get their take on basically their willingness to sue their broker for a potential COVID-related exposure. And I found these statistics to be a little surprising at how high these numbers were.
Yeah, because in this current environment, that's a thing to think about as soon as you maybe leave your house. So, you have engaged someone to sell your house, listed, whatever it is, like that I thought that'd be like an understanding that people had, and it's common practice to be like, hey, this is reality. So, but doesn't surprise me that people want to sue over things like this. So,
yeah.
But it was interesting because it turned out sellers are more likely to sue than buyers, right? Just overall.
Yeah. That discrepancy is just strange to me, but I guess it makes some sense that I guess, I don't know. It's just, hey, these are the statistics. And so this is why we do it, because you can't assume anything until you really get out and get into the data. So let's talk about this. So what this survey found was that 38% of buyers indicated that they would be very likely to sue their broker if they became sick with COVID-19 after learning that a resident of the home they had visited had contracted the disease. So let's unpack this. You show somebody a home, your client, the buyer, gets sick with COVID-19 and then learns that somebody in the seller's house got sick with COVID-19 and they're going to sue you over it.
Right. They're not going to sue the seller or anything like that. It is you.
Well, they might.
Well, yeah.
They might sue them too, but
I guess if they're going down that route, you know.
Right. But to sue their broker, right? Like, okay. So we're going to talk about risk management on this before not right now. We're going to get to that. But I can give you the rest of these statistics here. So what's the next one, Nabil? What about sellers?
Well, I was going to say on the flip side, 48% of sellers indicated that they would be very likely to sue their broker if one of their visitors contracted the coronavirus soon after a showing. So that's
wild.
Yeah, that's almost half of the people.
Almost half the people said they would be willing to sue their broker.
Right.
Seller. I mean, you know, it's interesting how high that is and that they're willing to sue somebody over it. And now, again, this is from May. Remember that. So maybe things have changed between now and then, but maybe not. Who knows how things have changed.
Right.
And to kind of continue this on, 29% of buyers said that they would still consider suing even if they had signed a release. So even if they've signed something that says that, you know, they're going to hold you harmless, 29% of buyers said they would still be willing to sue you, and 41% of sellers.
Right. I mean, that's it's so much higher.
Yeah. So kind of interesting. But here's the deal. Are you concerned about getting sued? Okay, so I've not heard of anybody here in Oklahoma getting sued due to a COVID, any brokers getting sued due to a COVID-19 related exposure. And I tried to pull some statistics that I could find. It's difficult to find, but I looked at an article from this was from early August, and they had identified just over 4,100 civil lawsuits that were related to COVID-19 that were against businesses. And they only found that of those, 18 had been filed by customers against the businesses for personal injury, and another 76 by employees for lack of personal protective equipment. So there are lawsuits out there. It's not a significant number. The likelihood of getting sued is very small, but it can happen. It absolutely can happen.
Right.
And
something that we also didn't mention was 58% of the buyers were willing to waive their right to sue, right? So the likelihood is there, but I think people also understand the environment that we're in.
Right. And I think that you have to look at the likelihood of success. So there's a couple of things that you need to be doing. One is people had talked about hold harmless agreements and those kinds of things that they would get to sign. And you can do that. I haven't necessarily pushed recommending that or anything like that. It is an option. But there's also this concept of assumption of the risk, that we know that there is a global pandemic going on, that being out amongst people has some inherent danger to it. And as long as you are exercising reasonable care in your business, you're going to be protected. And what does that reasonable care look like? Well, it's all those things we talked about early on. It's if you're having open houses, you need to be very careful about how you're doing that. Are you requiring people to wear masks? Are you requiring people to use hand sanitizer before they come in and offering it on the way out? Are you limiting the number of people that are coming in, going? Are you, again, if you're going on showings, are you making sure that you've talked to the seller's broker about, is there any certain precautions they want us to take when we go into this house? And these are all things that we've talked about way back when.
Are they
when
okay?
This first started happening?
Are they okay with people coming in the house? Right, that's probably right there, because some people aren't.
Exactly, and I think some of those early precautions people have started to relax on a little bit, and that's just understand that if you're doing that, that does create an enhanced risk. And again, what are we talking about though? It's highly unlikely, but it is possible. So that's why, in my view, the risks are low of getting sued. Buyers and sellers are clearly willing to sue their broker over it. I think you're probably going to win any case unless you know you're sick or know somebody in a house is sick and you're still going in there. That's something you absolutely don't want to do, because then you've got sort of this knowingly negligent activity. But otherwise, still take some precautions. Have those conversations with your clients. Make sure they're comfortable. Say, what can we do to make you feel comfortable? Just want to make sure that we're all on the same page. That's what you need to do. Again, I don't think hold harmless agreements are necessary. I don't think any particular contract addenda is necessary. Is it an option? Absolutely. You can do that. But, consult your own personal legal counsel to determine if that's going to be the best practice for your business to do those, and get their help writing it. Because if you're going to do it, you don't want to write it yourself. You want to make sure that somebody that has some understanding of that kind of concept can help you write that.
Right. And as Jeff likes to say a lot of times, I'm a lawyer, but I'm not your lawyer.
Yeah, he's right. But, again, just wanted to bring this up, that there are still things going on. Don't get too relaxed. Make sure that you're still taking all those precautions that need to be taken. And that's going to help protect you from liability. And in the event you do get sued, one, make sure you have your liability insurance, E&O insurance for your business. And you might touch base with them and make sure that, a lawsuit related to COVID-19 is covered. So touch base with your insurance carrier. Verify that the insurance that you have does protect you in the event of a lawsuit related to a client or, somebody else's client suing you because of a potential COVID-related exposure. Because you're going to want that protection, so you're not having to pay so many legal fees out of pocket, that you're covered. Yeah. So that's my little risk management tip there for you, to remind you that this is still ongoing. And so be careful out there.
Always. And if you haven't done so yet, hit that subscribe button so you know when our next episode, whether in studio or remote studio, is out to you on every Tuesday. Leave us a rating, write us a review. Those help, and we love hearing from you. So do it.
Absolutely. We've got some exciting guests coming up. We've obviously the last handful of weeks, we've brought you some guests that we hope that you enjoyed listening to. We've talked about professional standards and a recap of our congressional town halls. Brought in guests to talk about remote online notarization and home inspection. So make sure you go back and listen to those, because we're working really hard these days to try to bring in guests with particular expertise and knowledge on subjects that can help spread that information. So take a listen to those, share those. We think there's some pretty good information in there that I learned a lot. I think Nabil learned a lot. I think you can learn a lot too. So check those out. And in the coming weeks, we're going to be bringing you some other fantastic guests that are in the pipeline. So get ready and keep listening here every Tuesday on Talking Real. And thank you for sharing. And until next time, we'll see you next Tuesday on Talking Real.